The invitation came just after midnight, at the hottest point of the longest heat wave our small town outside Austin, Texas had seen in years. The sidewalks still shimmered from the day's relentless sun, the air refused to cool, and I had nearly given up trying to sleep when my neighbor, Sarah, knocked softly on my front door. She smiled with tired eyes and asked if I wanted to join her for a midnight swim at the quiet lake just beyond the neighborhood. It sounded strange enough, but what caught me completely off guard was the fact that she hadn't brought a swimsuit. At that moment, I thought the night was about to become awkward. I had no idea it was about to become one of the most unforgettable nights of my life. If stories about hope, compassion, forgiveness, and second chances mean something to you, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone you care about, leave a thoughtful comment, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue bringing you heartfelt stories that remind us how powerful kindness can be. I had lived next door to Sarah for almost 2 years, yet we had never spoken for more than a few minutes at a time. We exchanged waves while collecting mail, occasionally helped each other carry groceries, and once spent an afternoon clearing fallen tree branches after a storm. She always seemed friendly but distant, as though she carried invisible weight on her shoulders. That evening I noticed she was wearing ordinary shorts and an oversized t-shirt with a towel draped over one shoulder. She explained that she simply wanted to sit by the water and cool her feet because she had never learned how to swim. Her words surprised me. I had assumed everyone who suggested a midnight swim planned to jump into the lake. But Sarah quietly admitted that she had been afraid of deep water since childhood after witnessing a frightening boating accident that left no physical injuries but years of fear. We drove together beneath a sky overflowing with stars. The roads were empty, the crickets filled the silence, and the warm breeze carried the scent of cedar trees. The lake reflected the moon like polished glass. I stepped into the water while Sarah remained seated on the wooden dock, dangling her feet into the cool surface. She watched families of ducks glide peacefully across the water and confessed that every summer she promised herself she would finally overcome her fear. Every summer she failed. As the hours passed, our conversation drifted far beyond swimming. Sarah shared that she had recently lost her father after caring for him through a long illness. Since then, she had stopped doing many of the things she once enjoyed. Fear had quietly spread into every corner of her life. She avoided traveling, meeting new people, trying unfamiliar experiences, and even making close friendships because she worried that loss would eventually follow. The lake had become a symbol of everything she believed she could never face. Listening to her, I realized the real challenge standing before her wasn't the water at all. It was grief. Sometimes pain disguises itself as fear until we forget where one ends and the other begins. I climbed back onto the dock and suggested we forget about swimming altogether. Instead, we simply sat together, letting the cool night replace the suffocating heat. There was something healing about sharing silence with someone who no longer felt alone. Nearly an hour later, Sarah surprised herself. Without making a grand announcement, she slowly stood, removed her shoes, rolled up her shorts, and walked into the shallow edge of the lake. She laughed nervously each time a small wave touched her legs. I stayed close enough to reassure her, but far enough to let every step belong to her. Inch by inch, she moved forward until the water reached her knees. She wasn't swimming, but she was doing something even more important. She was choosing courage instead of surrender. The moonlight painted silver across the calm water as Sarah closed her eyes and took a deep breath. She later told me that for the first time in years, she felt her father's encouragement instead of the memory of losing him. Rather than remembering fear, she remembered the gentle way he had always believed she could accomplish difficult things. Tears quietly rolled down her cheeks, not from sadness, but from relief. Some victories make no noise. They simply change a person's heart forever. After that night, life slowly changed for both of us. Sarah enrolled in beginner swimming lessons at the local community center. Week after week, she learned to float, paddle, and finally swim across the shallow pool without panic. Watching her celebrate those small milestones reminded me that courage is rarely dramatic. More often, it arrives one uncertain step at a time. Our friendship also grew naturally. We shared dinners, helped each other through difficult weeks, and became the kind of neighbors who never had to wonder whether someone would be there during hard times. Months later, when another summer arrived, Sarah invited several neighborhood families to the same lake for a picnic. This time she wore a simple blue swimsuit beneath a light cover-up. She walked confidently into the water, smiling at children splashing nearby, and floated peacefully beneath the bright afternoon sky. There was no applause, no audience, and no celebration beyond the quiet joy of someone reclaiming a part of life that fear had stolen. If this story has touched your heart, I hope you'll support it by liking the video, sharing it with someone who may need encouragement today, and subscribing for more uplifting stories that remind us even small acts of kindness can change a life. Before we reach the end, I'd love to hear from you. Please leave a comment sharing a moment when someone helped you find the courage to face one of your greatest fears. Your story may become the encouragement another viewer desperately needs today. As I drove home from that unforgettable midnight at the lake, I realized Sarah had never invited me there because she needed someone to swim with. She had invited me because she needed someone willing to stay beside her while she learned to believe in herself again. Sometimes the greatest gift we can offer another person isn't advice, strength, or perfect answers. Sometimes it's simply our presence. And on one impossibly hot summer night in Texas, beneath a sky filled with countless stars, two neighbors discovered that hope often begins with the smallest act of companionship. While healing starts the moment someone reminds us we never have to face our deepest fears alone.